Ah yes, AI. It's been a large topic of discussion over the last few years. On one hand, it can save a great deal of time and alleviate stress, and yet it also poses massive risks. Stealing someone's art as an example, their voice, their likeness, and of course, it could even take jobs from hardworking and creative folks, at least that's the fear. These are some of the reasons it has so many detractors. Minds Beneath Us from Barebones Studio attempts to delve into some of these hard-hitting topics and a lot more. But is this adventure streamlined and engaging, or is the story that it presents about as convincing as a piece of that AI-generated artwork? Well, let's find out in our full review. Hey now, don't let the echo chamber's AI content replace us. Like and subscribe to the video, or head over to patreon.com/idreamofindiegames to gain Discord access, early shows, and more. Also, stop into our live streams Tuesdays and Thursdays on Twitch, and you can view them here too. Your new indie gaming community is waiting for you. While it's difficult to tell just what this game is based off of the trailers, Minds Beneath Us ultimately plays out much like a visual novel with light point-and-click gameplay elements and a few QuickTime events too. It is a game full of choices and a shocking amount of dialogue and conversations. You play as a character named Jason, or rather, a ghost living in his head anyways. But does part of Jason's subconscious still exist inside the body? Maybe. The world in which the game takes place has been overtaken by AI, and Jason, or I'll just keep calling him Jason anyways, ends up embroiled in a massive conflict after taking a job at his girlfriend's workplace in order to help support her. The storyline is the main focus of the game, so your attachment to this narrative will make or break the experience. Minds Beneath Us is broken up into a variety of chapters and will take players somewhere between 12 to 14 hours to complete. It is a story chock full of drama, interesting theories, and some really fascinating moments, but is often far too long-winded for its own good. Conversations can extend well past what should have been their expiration date, leading to player fatigue at times. While I was often engrossed by this endearing world and its shady cast of characters, many of the drawn-out sequences were just a struggle to get through, and I'll even admit there were a few points where I fell asleep. Even still, patient players will eventually be rewarded with a fairly well-written and thought-provoking tale. Yes, the game has its narrative shortcomings, grammatical errors, which the developer is aware of, and long stretches of tedium, but I did truly care about what was happening for a good amount of this game. I just felt like the game could have hit on its more interesting story beats in half the time that it did. The pacing feels far too slow at times, turning what could have been a tightly knit 7-hour game into almost double that time. Regardless, the developer does their best to keep players engaged throughout, as you'll be making just about every dialogue choice for Jason, or Jason's ghost. Sorry, I have to be a little dodgy about that detail. In the opening moments, Minds Beneath Us may lead you to believe that the game will feature a vast array of clever puzzles and point-and-click elements, but that hope is going to quickly be evaporated when the first chapter truly begins to kick off. Controlling the game is quite simple. Players can walk or run to the left and right across a 2D plane with beautiful 3D backdrops, and are able to use the right stick if playing on a controller to reveal a cursor that can highlight items of interest. There is a clever little puzzle right from the start of the game, which led me to believe I would have many more to contend with as the game progressed, but Minds Beneath Us quickly abandons this puzzle point-and-click concept and turns into a choice-driven visual novel almost entirely. I was personally disappointed that the game didn't feature more clever moments like in the opening, and instead decided to beat me over the head with seemingly endless waves of text. The only real break you'll get from the storyline is in QuickTime battles, which are few and far between. These combat sections are pretty dull and only require that the player successfully inputs a handful of obvious button prompts to succeed. For as stylish as these fights look, they really lack substance. Outside of that, you'll mostly be walking from point A to point B, finding the next character you need to talk to, and that's about it. It is always apparent where you need to go next, though if you do become lost for whatever reason or confused, a menu can be activated that more or less tells you where you need to be. With the dialogue and choices being the main focus of the game, it is good that some of these choices will have major consequences. While Minds Beneath Us does tend to follow a fairly straightforward path, a massive choice in Chapter 3 can alter things quite drastically. The The story eventually comes back around, but I thought it was great that my choices at least always felt like they meant something, even if many of the choices looped to a similar outcome. There were other moments throughout gameplay where I felt like a jerk for saying the wrong thing at the wrong time, or I might feel really happy with my decisions, such as asking my girlfriend if I could jump in the shower with her. Doing so earned me an achievement in more than one way. The writers have done a good job of at least making it feel like your choices matter to some degree. The ending also presents multiple choices, but the impact feels dampened a bit with the ability to easily reload chapters and choose other options. On a technical level, Minds Beneath Us performed very well on my main PC, and I didn't notice any significant frame rate issues or crashes. Steam Deck users can anticipate solid performance as well, with a few dips as low as into the 40s when moving between certain scenes. Still, it's a beautiful game with its mix of 2D character art and animations across 3D set pieces. Those animations are jaw-dropping at times, though unfortunately become a bit repetitive during the QTE events. Backgrounds are all beautiful, but unfortunately there just aren't all that many set pieces throughout. Sadly, you'll revisit many of the same areas over and over again, which means they'll quite quickly wear out their welcome. But despite this, I love the visual style and flair of the game. Characters' faces are completely blank, which is a choice. The style always reminds me of a PS1 game called the Grand Stream Saga, shout out if you've heard of that one. But here the decision didn't really bother me too much, it kind of fits the style of the game weirdly. And then the sound design, also quite good, and while you won't have voice performances, the soundtrack delivers electronic beats and melodies that really fit the futuristic vibe very well. The music is atmospheric, and the sound effects are effective, with subtle details like the sound of knocking on a door making the world feel that much more believable and real. At home in your apartment, you'll have tranquil melodic songs, and when the intensity ramps up, so too does the bass and the drama. Minds Beneath Us overall is a very beautiful looking and sounding product. Minds Beneath Us left me a bit torn in the end. I love the setting, and parts of the story are truly engrossing and kinda hit me in the feels. Unfortunately, it takes a lot of aimless and drawn-out conversations for the game to make its greater points at times. It also mostly abandons some of its promising point-and-click gameplay elements just far too early. Even still, its choice-driven gameplay can lead to a few thrilling moments that sometimes make the pain worth the pleasure. So all told, I'm gonna go ahead and award Minds Beneath Us just barely the Bronze Genie lamp of approval.